Inside Mercer Basketball with Coach Bob Hoffman and your host, Rick Cameron. Brought to you by Wild Wing Cafe.
Well, good evening, everyone. We're at Wild Wing at Shops at River Crossing. We're here to talk Mercer basketball again. 30 minutes of talking hoops with Mercer head coach Bob Hoffman. Coach, we continue to take Mercer basketball to new heights. Not only the play on the floor, but record crowds. 2 Saturdays ago, 4,000 people in the house. Last week, again, near capacity crowds. You, your team, your staff have got to be thrilled at the way we're rocking Hawkins Arena.
Yeah, it's been great. It's helped us. The energy in the building's been tremendous. It helps our guys have moments that you need to have to win conference games, late second, third, fourth efforts to get those championship wins that we've been able to accomplish the last couple of weeks. But that's a culmination of a lot of years of work. Our assistants, our support staff, the administration, our players being out in the schools doing reading programs, mentorship, and that's what's transpired. Now we're being able to see a little bit of the fruits of those labor over so many years that they've worked so hard for.
2 big wins at Hawkins Arena. Let's start first, Coach, with a 67-64 win over a very good Furman team.
Yeah, we were fortunate to win that game. It was a tough-fought contest, Thursday night ball game. We got out to a big lead, hit a bunch of shots early. Then we kind of settled into the game, and Furman just kept coming after us. And we were fortunate to finish that game with a 3-point victory because I'm glad there wasn't any more time on the clock because they were making plays and we were having a hard time stopping them.
Coach, it's easy after a game to look at the box score, talk about the leading scorer, the leading rebounder, whatever. But you and I have talked many nights, Jabri Bryant, Coach, a lot of times you ask him to defend the other best player on the team. There were a couple of huge blocks at the end of that game. Darius Moton had one. Jabri saved that game at the end.
Well, it was kind of interesting in that he thought we were wanting to go to his own defense. So he ran by the guy who was guarding. Somebody else took him because I told him to go make the guy pick up the ball so the clock would start, which he did, and then I was raising my hands to get him back, and he took that as we were going to zone defense, and he ran by that guy. Somebody else picked him up, and our guys rotated and switched. He ended up on the guy that ended up taking the shot and was able to block the shot, then recovered it and got fouled and went to the free throw line. So it looked like we were switching defenses when we weren't, but it worked out well. We'll have to put that in the arsenal, I guess.
Absolutely. Then you came back, Coach, with another strong win over Sanford, 80-56.
Our guys were on point from the very beginning in that ball game, had a great crowd, as you mentioned earlier, and our guys just went possession after possession of playing really good offense, great defense, and we're connected in everything we were going to try to do execution-wise. It was tremendous what our guys were able to accomplish. And both games, I know we're going to talk about this later, but both games, our assistant coaches that had the scout did a great job, and our guys paid attention to details. That's important to us, and it has been important to us for a long time, but I thought that week we did a great job of getting those 2 games, and part of it was because of our execution and attention to detail.
Coach, you're a master at taking the starting 5, and as the season progresses, realizing maximum input of putting a particular player in a game at a particular time. I know a couple of weeks ago you felt like you were still working on that. How close are you now at feeling comfortable when to put people into the lineup?
Well, I think we're getting in a better place, and it's still a feel thing, and it depends on the team you're playing, style of play that's going to be that night, and the strength of the guys that you need to sub. But I really like how our guys are responding. I think they're getting into a rhythm themselves of understanding what we're expecting of them. And when they go on the floor, they're just relaxing and playing now, not thinking as much, I think, about when they're coming in or going out or when am I going to sub them. I think they understand what's important, and it's been great how they've responded.
Coach, we lost probably the greatest senior class in Mercer history for any sport, yet this year you've got 2 seniors providing you excellent leadership now.
Yeah, and they're playing at a high level. T.J. Hallis can guard anybody in the country at the post position. He gives up some girth to a lot of guys, but his speed and quickness and understanding the game is unmatched to me. his ability to know what people are doing and take away, even in fact, in the Sanford game, the very first possession on defense, the guy just turned and was going to throw a bounce pass in the post, and TJ was standing there to get it because he knew what they were trying to do. And that happens time after time. And then Darius has been making big play. In fact, had a top 10 play on the ESPN this last Saturday on his dunk that we tried to run for a week, and they didn't believe me it would work, I don't think. And then we finally were able to execute. Jordan made a great pass. But Darius is shooting the ball well. He's working hard on his game. Both those guys are not only doing it on the floor, but doing it in the locker room. They're doing it everywhere else, and that's what's making a huge difference in the outcome of ball games.
Well, we featured TJ Hallis last week here in the program. This week, Darius Moton. So we're going to go to campus and have a feature on Darius. We return with more inside Mercer basketball.
So here's the game plan. Rush into the Wild Wing Cafe and tackle one of our new steakhouse burgers. 100% Angus, 100% great. It's an all-star lineup that can win you tickets to the biggest games of the year. Where?
Back in the Mercer team rooms. Time once again to get to know our Mercer Bear players, those who lead us on the floor. And tonight we're joined by one of our two seniors, Darius Moton. Darius from Bowden, Georgia. All right, Darius, let's drop back a little bit to Bowden, Georgia high school days. You not only could play some basketball, but I believe you on the cross country, I believe you could run and jump pretty darn good.
Yeah, I ran cross country and track in high school. Cross country was just more because our basketball coach was a cross country coach, and I didn't play football, so I had to do something.
Yeah.
But I was pretty good at track. I finished third in state in the hurdles, I think third in the triple jump, and fifth in the discus. So my senior year.
All right, let's proceed from there. How did you end up at Mercer?
I originally just came here to be an engineer. I was looking for a school that had an engineering program and a D1 basketball team, and Mercer fit into that category, and I just kind of talked to coaches and asked if I could try out. And
Yep.
They liked me and let me join the team, so.
And here we are, huh?
Yeah.
All right, here you are, a senior, one of only two on this team. Tell us about the transition, Darius, from the beginning when you walked on, made the team, and then all of those 7 seniors that led us the last few years. Now you are the senior leadership. How has that transition been?
It's been a little bumpy because in the years past, with everyone being around the same age and us being here for time, we didn't so much have to lead each other as much as just walk together, because we all knew where we were supposed to be, we all knew what we were supposed to do. But now this year, we have to not only lead by example, but also try to tell the guys what to do. It's not so much of when we messed up last year, just about everyone on the team knew what they did wrong.
Exactly.
When we mess up this year, the guys don't necessarily know what they did wrong, and we have to be there to help correct them and try to help them out. So it's just been a little bit of a weird transition, but I think we're starting to try to get the hang of it. So.
Gotcha. Let's go back to last year for a moment. You guys have worked so hard. Coach Hoffman had always said, let's win 3 games at the end of the year and good things can happen. What did it mean to you winning that tournament championship down at Fort Myers and then going to Raleigh to play Duke?
It was huge. Honestly, in my book, winning the championship for the A-Sun felt bigger than beating Duke, just because it was something that we had been working for 4 years, and we had been so close in the years past. And being able to do it on their court the way they did it to us the year before, and with all the hype going into the game and the crowd and everything, it was great. And then just beating Duke was just icing on the cake. So I mean, it was amazing. Definitely one of the best feelings I've ever felt.
I have the opportunity of watching you guys practice, especially on the road, for hours and hours, as much as anyone. Coach Hoffman's system is so very complicated. Obviously, it's difficult no matter what position you play, whether you're the point guard or a whopper, as he likes to call the big guys. But the 3 position is very difficult. You know, you're looking for the backdoor cuts and all. How difficult is it to catch on to the system, and what's expected from your role once you guys hit the floor?
Well, my position at the 4, we touch the ball a lot of plays. The ball's in our hands where we have to make decisions. And it's not just knowing where I have to be, I have to know where everyone else is going to be to determine what to do next for the plays. And I think we're kind of almost a lot of times like the second point guard on the court, where we do have a lot of opportunities to pass the ball and get assists and stuff. And it just means that you have to know more about the other players' positions and not just your own. And it takes a while because we have hundreds of plays and they all seem similar in some ways, and they'll be slightly different in one way that'll make the play completely different, which will change what you're looking at, and you just got to know the difference and know what you're looking for.
You mentioned coming here as an engineering student. Tell us how much of a challenge it is of succeeding at Mercer academically and still staying attuned with what Bob Hoffman expects in and off the basketball court.
It was a tough transition going from high school to college, just in general, but then also throwing in the engineering classes on top of things. It took me a little while to get the hang of it, but I eventually caught on, and luckily it didn't take me too long to where it affected my grades too badly. But it's just tough. Just got to have time management and find time to get in the gym. That was one thing I had a problem with earlier, was finding time to get in the gym.
We talked about the wins a moment ago. You mentioned the Florida Gulf Coast was meaningful to you, but looking down the road 15, 20 years or more from now, still some games to go, obviously, and some things to accomplish, but what do you think you'll reflect back on was the most meaningful thing about playing college basketball?
Just definitely the friendships and stuff that have been made. Like, I've made some lifelong friends that I'm going to keep in touch with and hopefully see after I graduate, and just it's something that you'll never forget. And many times, like, you have friends in high school that kind of just disappear, but it's the college people, the friends you make in college that usually stay with you for a lifetime, and I'm looking forward to that.
You talked about coming and pretty much walking on the team. There's got to be some other younger kids that are watching our program today, watch you play night in, night out. How difficult and how hard does a youngster have to work, feel sixth grade, looking ahead to one day be a college player? What should they be doing now?
It's not necessarily just what you do in practice, it's what you do outside of practice that gets you to the next level. Like what you do when you're at home by yourself or just in the gym by yourself, it's you don't have to go hard every day, but just a little bit of time here and there will eventually add up and make your game better and better.
All right, looking ahead for when you get that Mercer degree in hand and take to the streets professionally, what's ahead for you in later life?
I don't really know right now. I would love to play professionally, but I also do have an engineer, or will have an engineering degree.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of see where that takes me. I guess it's not really a bad second option to have. So.
All right, got the taste of that championship last year and the moving to the next level play. As we come down the stretch here, the Southern Conference tournaments will be coming up in March. I've asked some of the other guys, so I'll ask you the same question. How hungry are you to get back to the NCAA?
Very hungry. It was an experience that I've never had before in my life. It was a million times better than even winning the CIT and better than going to the NIT. It's just a feeling you'll never forget, and it's just something I really want to get back to this year.
All right, Darius, thanks for being with us. Certainly an engineering student, speaks highly of the top players we have on this team. Best of luck for the remainder of your career here at Mercer, and whatever you choose to do in life, I no doubt you're going to be very successful.
Thank you.
Darius Moton, our senior forward from Bowden, Georgia, joining us this evening. We'll be back in just a moment with more when we return on Inside Mercer Basketball.
For over 20 years, Mercer has relied on Forsyth Street Orthopedics.
Their team of physicians keeps players on the court.
Forsyth Street Orthopedics and Ortho Georgia have merged together into one practice, and we're stronger than ever with 26 physicians and 5 regional offices. As a graduate of Mercer and a partner of Ortho Georgia, we are proud to sponsor and take care of Mercer athletes.
Ortho Georgia, getting better together.
Go Bears!
Well, we're back at Wild Wing talking more Mercer basketball with Bob Hoffman. You just saw that feature about Darius Moton. Our seniors doing an excellent job this year. Coach, there's some other guys doing excellent jobs. I don't know that we mention them enough or give them enough credit, but if you would, let's talk about the role of the assistant coaches. First, if you just mention them, how long maybe they've been with you, and then I've got a couple of questions about some of the things they do.
Well, they do an outstanding job. They spend a lot of time watching film and getting prepared, getting scouting reports from other people. It's a big part of what we do as a program, and it's been successful for many years, a lot of different stops along the way. But these guys have taken it to the highest level of any group I've ever been associated with. Jake Nelp has been with me 5 years. He is tremendous at a lot of different things in the game planning, but he also helps us with offense no matter who we're playing against. And then Doug Eslick, who's been with us also 5 years, he does scouting just as Jake does. What they do is before the year, they figure out each who's going to have for the whole year, and they split them up into thirds, essentially. And then during conference play, they'll have the same teams, the whole conference, so they'll have them twice. And then we get into the conference tournament, they'll have that team again if we happen to play them, because they're going to be the most familiar with them. And then Spencer Wright, who's been with me 15 years, all kinds of places, and played for me. Spence does a lot of helping with, when he's not the scout, he helps with substitutions. Doug Eslick, when he's not doing the scout, he also helps with defensive responsibilities. But each night out, they're preparing the whole time during a week, getting ready for whoever they're going to have. I'm scouting every team. So, example, Thursday night we got through with Furman, and then Matt Brownback, who's behind the camera here, takes care of getting all the video for us. And I watch video on every team and try to figure out what offensive sets that we already have in, or what little little things we can change that would work against their defensive principles. And then the assistant coach that has the scout will then take the guys through the other team's offensive sets, our scout team, and then also do the scout right the day before and the game, during the game, right before the game. We'll go back over it again with our guys. So there's multiple layers of what we do and how we do it. We do a lot of information. We have our guys put it in notebooks. We don't give them the scouting report. That's the way most teams traditionally do it. They're handed a scouting report. We do ours in a notebook. So I think a lot of guys learn by writing down, even though they may see it. If you write it down, some people learn that way better, some visual learners. So we do it both ways, and that's been very successful. And we change how we guard different things based on a team's strength. On the defensive end, we're going to try to take away their strengths. On the offense end, we're going to try to use their defensive principles against them, and hopefully have their team looking at the coach wondering why they're doing that.
Now, Coach, after you, the assistants, have done your job, how difficult is it for your scout team to inherit those responsibilities so that your starters and players can see what it is really going to look like in a game?
Well, it is difficult because you're running a lot of different things. Essentially, in basketball, there's a lot of similarities on endings. They may start a different formation, but they'll end a certain way, and we'll have a call for that in our team. So you may call horns, for example, and it may look for something, but for us, that would be A game. So you would call horns coming up the floor, our team would call A game right away. We'd know right away what they're doing. But the scout team has to try to figure that out and try to, each game, try to be prepared as best they can to run it at us, so our guys will have the knowledge that they need when they get on the floor and try to do it as fast as the other team, which is difficult also, so we can be ready no matter what the other team's strength is, that we can show it in the scout team and on the floor as we're practicing to get ready for that next team.
Now, knowing you're going to play each team in the conference twice, between the first game and the second game, how many changes will be made on your side or the opposing coach, or how many do you anticipate when you play a team the second time?
Well, it depends on how successful we were the first time.
Very good.
But they may do some, and they may throw some at us, but we'll always keep watching that team and between our games, and whoever has the scout, whoever is the assistant coach in charge of the scout, will watch every game in between, seeing if there's any tendencies to changes or personnel that they might be playing more than they were before, and what are their strengths individually.
All right, Coach, final question.
There's a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. Final question. The day of the game, when Mercer hits the floor for shoot-around, how long does it take you to realize if your team is ready for the opposing team that night?
About 5-10 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then what do you do at that point?
Well, I real calmly try to ask them to get ready. I plead with them and say, please, guys, hey, we got a game. No, I emphatically usually get a little bit in their chili and try to get them fired up about the game, because I know the opportunity is only going to come around once, and if we're not prepared for that moment, it's going to go away, and you're going to walk out of that gym wishing you'd been in a better state of mind. And so we try to, the best we can, get our guys motivated for every contest, no matter who we're playing and whatever the name is on the chest, so that every game seems the same. And that's a huge element of what we've been able to accomplish over these years.
So far, so good this year. We're going to talk about the Southern Conference when we come back with more Inside Mercer Basketball.
Yeah.
Over 3,000 new cars, over 1,500 used cars. Come experience the difference.
We're back at Wild Wing talking Mercer basketball with Coach Bob Hoffman. Coach, the Macon Occupational Medicine look at the Southern Conference. Obviously, great position for the Bears. 6-1 this point in the season. You put yourself in
one shot away from being 7-0.
1 point away.
Yeah,
that close.
we had an open
kind of give us the overview of how the conference has rolled out thus far.
Well, I'm really thrilled about where our guys are. They've done a tremendous job in each of these games, being prepared and working hard, like we talked about in the other segment, taking the statistics, taking the information, and putting themselves in that position to win, and then they've gone out and accomplished that. I think everybody outside of the program thought it would be a longer learning curve for these guys, and I knew that they were going to give all they had, and I knew our staff was going to work hard. I didn't know if we would be right where we are right now, but I thought eventually, and it might have been when we got into conference tournament, I thought this team would be a good team and that we'd have some success in this conference. But it's happened a little earlier than everybody believed, and I think that's a credit to our players, it's a credit to our staff, and what they believe in each other.
Current standings: Mercer 6-1, Wofford and Chattanooga 5-1, ETSU 5-3, the Citadel, Western Carolina, and Furman 3-4, VMI 3-5, UNCG 2-4, Samford 0-8. Coach, after last week's games, let's talk about and let's decide now the Sonic Player of the Week.
Yeah, the Sonic Player of the Week, as you and I talked about, I think that's got to be Ike Wamu, and he had a great week. Both nights actually came out on fire and hit shots to get some separation, and then finished the game on Saturday playing as good a defense for more possessions than he has all year. And I really believe that's an area he can continue to get better at. I believe he can guard anybody in the country if he chooses to. It's still something that he has lapses from time to time that we talked about, but he's so gifted in the athletic ability he's been blessed with, but he also understands the game at a high level. And so when he chooses to, he can keep guys, he can actually make a guy, if he's guarding the ball, he can make it where nobody can screen him. Yeah. He's that physical and that strong, and I think that's really helping us. I mean, we talked about Jabri, we talked about Darius, a bunch of guys have done a great thing, but I think Ike had a great week and hit some tremendous shots, and I think his defense continues to improve.
And as a team coach, there have been spurts this year, the end of the ETSU game a couple of times last week. When this team is playing defense as it's capable of playing, it can almost suffocate the other offense.
Yeah, we're athletic, and if we can get in the gaps and be where we're supposed to be, that makes a huge difference in us closing people out. And if we take the scouting report and take those details and use our athleticism, that's when we're really tough to play against. And really in the conference play right now, we're rebounding at a high level. I think we have the most rebounds in the league in conference play. And if we can continue to do that, get to the free throw line like we've been doing and making those shots, we'll be a tough team to put out on any given night.
Now, we talked about stability now that we're in conference play, Thursday, Saturday, but we're getting away from that this week. The fact we go to Western Carolina, the only game for what, about 10 or 11 days?
Right, it will be a little different. I think it's going to be good for our guys. We still got some guys banged up and hurt and dragging legs, got shoulders that are messed up. So I think if we can get through Thursday some way, somehow, against a really athletic, talented team that's well coached. Coach Hunter's one of the best coaches in the country, in another place we haven't been to yet that we'll have to get used to. But I'm excited about the trip. But I think once we get past that game and have a few days to work on ourselves, work on some individual work, and then some of the guys get opportunities to take some days off or not go quite as long, I think that'll be really good for our team and help us down that last month, as we'll be on a schedule where we play every Thursday, Saturday till we get to conference tournament time.
Coach, you've had so many young guys stepping up that we've made note of the last couple of weeks. I know it's hard to get all of the young guys playing time, but is there any other young guys out there that you'd like to try to get in more playing time the next game or two?
Well, I'd love for them to all play.
Absolutely.
I mean, and I want them to all play, and they're working hard on that. You know, Nick was playing a lot more minutes early on, Nicholas Ney, and hasn't played as much recently. Lawrence Brown's helped us in some games, spot minutes, and those guys could help us. Matt Panagio has also made some big plays in games, so there'll be moments and times as we move through the conference season, depending on foul trouble and different tweaks of injuries, that all those guys have got to be ready, that you never know. I still believe other guys that are suited up can help us. Demetrius and Tyree could too. But, you know, right now we've kind of settled into an 8-man rotation. I think that's what we'll stay with unless other factors enter in.
All right, Coach, so far so good. 6-1. We go to Western Carolina, back on the road. Great opportunity for the Bears to get the win, remain in first place, then have a couple of days off, as you said, to work on individuals.
Yeah, it'd be great to get another road victory. We love that roadkill. Mercer Bears, we're into roadkill. If we can get one more, that would be fantastic news for our guys.
All right, well, thank you for joining us this evening. Thanks for all the fans that have showed up at Hawkins Arena. We look forward to seeing you the next game out. We're headed to Western Carolina on Thursday. That's going to do it this week for Inside Mercer Basketball.